to the Northwest Community Garden, located at the corner of Park and Baxter Streets. The Rutland Department of Parks and Rec administers 2 such gardens, which are open to members of the community to plant and grow their own produce. Over the next few months, we will feature the progress of this garden, from soil preparation, seeding, pruning, and the final harvest. Our garden guide is Nicholas Santoro. Welcome back to Gardens Grow Community. We're halfway through our horticultural mini-series. This is early to mid-July and things are really popping in the garden. Nick, how can you keep watering the garden and weeding and working so hard in all this heat? How can you protect yourself?
Well, I really like the 90-degree days myself with the Mediterranean background, half background. I love it. And plus, I have my clippers all ready for these growing vegetables. We have a plethora of vegetables that are going. And I just keep doing it. Like I said at the beginning, I like to attend to the growing plants. And today I'll snap a piece of the Brussels sprouts and we'll hear the freshness of the vegetables, besides showing you all the wonderful things that are growing now.
You mean vegetables can actually speak?
Yeah, but you have to intervene a little bit and listen to them.
Okay. Well, I think it's very important for gardeners to realize that we need to protect ourselves. For instance, a sun hat is important to keep the sun off the face. I won't keep it on for this. And also your favorite sunscreen.
Sunscreen?
Yeah, 30 SPF is really enough. You can go higher, but I think you're just paying more money for nothing. And this needs to go on your arms or any exposed part of your body, and of course your face. Now, keeping cool is very important too. So this is a trick that I have learned. You take a dish towel, not terry cloth, but you can feel sort of cottonish or even a flour sack style, and you drench it in cool water. Okay. Yeah. Then you put it around your neck. And this is very good for when you're spending a long time out in the sun. It's cool on the neck, which is very nice, and the water will last for quite a while.
Particularly works well on July 4th.
Yes, definitely. There'll be quite a sizzle when those fireworks get put out. And if you want, you can tap your face or wipe your sweated brow. So this is a very easy way to do things to help keep things cool.
Hey, the fire department's coming. We got some water coming. How fantastic. I left my cooling tip on the stove.
Oh, your cooling tip on the stove. And also, you advised me to put water in a bottle in a freezer, and then you bring it with you, and you have cold water for an hour or so. So those are some very simple tips to keep it cool.
The fire department is making its second water delivery in less than a week, and we had just run out of that magic thing, water, and they showed up. And so earlier, the young guys from the rec department came by and whack-a-doodled the grass, and I gave a lot of zucchini and vegetables to them. So this time I only had a few zooks to give to the fire guys, the water saviors.
Gadzooks.
Gadzooks. Gadzooks, I like that.
I think at the end of the summer we should definitely send over a veggie smorgasbord to the wonderful Rutland Fire Department.
Sounds good. Well, they're going to be getting vegetables all summer. And so will the people at the rec department, and so will the passers-by. I just got my cooler from last year, and I wrote a new little sign that says, please take veggies. And so pretty soon I'll be putting veggies out on Park Street.
Okay, well, I've been concerned about the quality of the soil. And I found out that University of Vermont offers a soil testing kit. And so I sent away for it, and this is what it looks like, the envelope. And inside, there's a very fancy bag to collect the soil in, and a form to fill out. Soil test submission form. And you mail it in, and it costs $14 for the test, and they'll send you the results in a couple of weeks. So we'll find out exactly how healthy our soil is. And anyone can request this by calling UVM.
You can do the same thing with water to have your water tested. Contact UVM, that's the Ag Department, right?
I believe so. All right, we're proud to introduce our produce parade. And Nick is going to show us and tell us the progress of several items. And we're going to start off with flowers. Nick, can you tell us what's growing here in terms of the cosmos?
Well, I know Don has the plot over here with the big sunflowers, and around the sunflowers he's got cosmos. Those are the only cosmos in the garden so far. And then there's
marigolds?
Marigolds, Anna from Southern Vermont Council on Aging, she and I earlier in the season planted marigolds in between all the 16 plots. And they're coming up and starting to flower.
They lend quite a bit of pretty sparkling color too. Now what about sunflowers? I hear we have some sunflowers growing.
Yeah, Don is the only person that planted sunflowers, and they're beauties. We'll see how big they get.
And the last flower on my list is zinnias.
Yeah, the zinnias are sporadic in different places. The flowers are starting to color the garden.
Okay, that's our introductory. The flowers I consider the cheerleaders of the garden. And now the flag bearers, the herbs. We have a much longer list of herbs. How is the basil doing?
Well, I think Mac has some basil going. There's not too much basil, but it looks healthy. And maybe some down this aisle. And then I think Mac also has the chamomile, which is a very useful herb for sleeping. It's good for antispasmodics. It's good for relieving stress.
So you make it into a tea?
Yeah, chamomile is a tea, and there's some nice little white flowers.
All right, what about cilantro?
Oh, we have that over in the community garden. They're pretty high now, but lovely little white flowers. I've been clipping them off at about 12 inches and bringing them home for bouquets. And they're available if anybody wants a nice little cilantro bouquet.
How about really hot and heavy oregano?
Yeah, there's a few different varieties in the garden. And oregano, as we all know, especially when it's fresh, is really good in tomato sauce.
Parsley.
Unfortunately, we only have one little parsley growing because the critters, the slugs, really like the parsley this year.
I was surprised that you said we had peppermint.
Yeah, we have a bunch of peppermint going, 4 or 5 or 6 plants, and that's always nice to put in a cold drink or make a tea out of.
Or a mint julep.
mint juleps even better.
And we can serve that to rosemary.
Rosemary, yeah, we had Lisa brought some rosemary and planted it in a community herb area. And I know that besides tasting good and having great minerals, in World War I, rosemary was used as to sterilize wounds. It's an interesting notion.
Very medicinal. And our last herb on the list is sorrel.
Yeah, there's a patch from last year, so that's a perennial, and that's also, I looked it up, and it's loaded with tons of vitamin A and vitamin K.
Now for the veggies and a few little fruits that popped up.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start with Brussels sprouts.
Well, we have a great patch of Brussels sprouts. I don't know the lady's name down at Spring Lake Ranch. Their garden gave my wife Marilyn a bunch of Brussels sprouts, and they're growing beautifully, and I've been snapping the what's called the crowns of the Brussels sprouts. They're gigantic leaves. They're in the collard family. They're a mild type of collard, and they're quite delicious, just cooked as a green, steamed, or put in a soup or something.
And how about some lovely, delicious orange carrots?
Yeah, there's a pot of them right over here. Marilyn and I put those in.
Are they the orange kind or the purple variety?
They're the orange kind.
Now, do we have room in this garden for corn?
Well, we didn't, but we found space for three. We have 3 little sprouts coming up. I planted 46 kernels in a pot at home with my grandson, and only 3 of them are growing. But we'll see how that turns out.
And where are the cucumbers?
Right behind us, cucumbers. I've been watering them lately, and that's my my brand for this garden after last year's production of cucumbers, and so we'll be giving cucumbers out. And as your favorite?
Yes, my favorite, dragon's tongue beans. Are they smoking or breathing fire yet?
They're extending their tongues upward. they're climbers, so
They need poles.
they're climbing up the strings that I put on the little teepee over there.
Do we have green beans?
Yeah, we have green beans growing by the discount food community garden sign on up front, and we have green beans that Southern Vermont Council on Aging is growing, and assorted green beans in different plots.
All right, what about green peppers?
We have some partially covered, not getting enough sun green peppers that I'm responsible for their shade. I'll have to do something about it.
And that reminds me that I noticed a couple of plants are being shaded out, and we need to clip them. Right. Just because they're bigger doesn't give them the right to prevent the little ones from growing. Now, keeping in the green category, how about kale?
Oh, we have a profusion of kale. You know, Mac grows this incredible kale, and then Linda has kale, and there's kale in the community garden.
How about onions?
Yeah, you brought the onions last time, and we probably have about 40 or 50 onions for that salsa we're going to make soon.
Right. Okay, how about lettuce?
Yeah, there's Linda has grown some nice romaine, and there's nice, interesting looking lettuce right behind me. I don't know the names of it. It's reddish and brown.
What about peas?
Oh yeah, right behind us we have Joe's beautiful peas. Pea paradise.
Can people grow potatoes in this garden?
We got lucky this year.
Oh?
The wind blew some potato seeds, and we got 3 different places where potatoes are growing.
Spontaneous spuds, you mean?
That's right, spontaneous spuds. I like that.
Okay, how about pumpkin?
We have pumpkins. Mike from Enchanted Flora Farm has got pumpkins, which are really taking off, and I've got pumpkins down there, and down at the end of Baxter Street Alley, we have a gigantic pumpkin patch in front of the big marble wall.
How about something little and dainty like radishes?
There's some not so little and dainty radishes right down this row here. It's in red, but
And what about, would Popeye feel at home? Would there be spinach for him?
if he goes over to Mac's plot, he'll be able to have his favorite treat.
And squash.
Oh, we're loaded up with squash.
Summer squash, you mean? Only?
Not summer squash, zucchini, and I have some mystery squash I planted.
Mystery squash, wow.
Well, I forgot to label my seeds. I only label my spaghetti squash. We're going to have a lot of spaghetti squash. We'll be giving that out in, probably late September, maybe mid-September.
And how about Swiss chard?
Swiss chard is my favorite. It's red stems and filled with nourishment, and it grows plentifully, except we have some blight, so I have to cut them when they're nice and small.
Well, I know we have tomatoes all over the place.
Yes, we got tomatoes all over the place.
And a variety of them, too.
Well, we'll have a ton of little cherry tomatoes, and I see some nice fatties growing over.
Beefsteak?
Well, the fatties, they may or may not be beefsteaks. These are all tomatoes from last year when I took my seeds and put them in the corners, and so we have random tomato production.
Random tomato production with zucchini, with spaghetti squash. This is going to be a crazy meal, I'll tell you.
We're going to have quite a meal here.
Well, what about the tomatillas? How are they different from tomatoes?
Oh, well, tomatillas are like these small green tomatoes with a sheath that's around them. And tomatillas and cilantro are the true secret superlative ingredients in a good salsa. And a tomatilla, and they grow profusely, and forever and ever we'll have tomatillas in this garden because the seeds grow, but sometimes they taste like watermelon, sometimes they taste like cheese. They're very interesting.
Multi-flavored tomatoes.
Yeah, multi-flavored tomato.
And you did mention zucchini also, right?
We have, yeah, I've already cut some for the firemen and the rec guys.
So it sounds like we have plenty of produce coming or already here to show off.
Indeed, we do.
And we have a special guest today. You've seen her in the background, but now we're bringing her out front. This is Linda, and she's going to tell us about mullein, a very unusual plant that's self-seeded.
Hi. Yes, when I first got my garden started, I noticed this weed growing in it. And I remember like about 15, 20 years ago, somebody telling me that it was a medicinal plant. So I Googled it, and it's an amazing plant. It's biannual. It's originated from Europe, and they used it in many ways. It's said to be good for the upper respiratory system. It's an expectorant. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it's good for so many things. I just couldn't tell you them all. I can't remember them all. But they used to take, in the old days, the leaves, they're very fuzzy and furry and soft, and they'd break off a leaf and put it in their shoes for cushion. And also they would take the whole stem, cut it down, and put the end of it in tallow and use it for torches in Europe. So I was interested in the plant because I had a really bad upper respiratory infection around Christmas time. So I decided to make some tea, because you can dry the leaves. It takes probably a couple of weeks. And then you can go like this, and it crumples up just like oregano. And I got some muslin at Walmart, and I made some tea bags. And of course, I'm a bit of an artist too, so I kind of made the
Homemade tea bags,
so,
look at that.
So I made a tea bag, and I tried the tea, and it's really good. And they say you should strain it because the fuzziness on the leaves can irritate your throat. So, but this seems to do the trick. I didn't have any problem with it. And you can also use the flowers. When the flowers start coming, all the strength in the good vital sources go into the flowers. And they make some like eardrops with it out of oil and soak the petals.
But you're
the
not
flowers.
supposed to eat the flowers, are you?
I don't know whether the flowers would hurt you if you ate them. I'd have to Google that. But the seeds are poisonous to humans, so steer clear of the seeds. And before the fall, I'm going to snip off the top part because we don't want mullein taking over the whole garden.
Right. Well, thank you for explaining about mullein.
You're
I did
welcome.
not know that. And
Yeah, it's
I'm really impressed
fascinating.
because you showed, again, homemade tea bags.
Yes, you can use a tea ball or a tea, make your own tea bags.
And did it help improve your respiratory?
Well, I'm
condition?
not having a problem now, but I enjoyed the tea.
That's
It's,
the important thing.
Yeah, and if you feel the tea is strong, you can add a little honey or a little spearmint.
Yeah, we have mint growing right here.
But you can make tea out of the flowers too, as well. And it's supposed to be sweeter.
And can you spell a mullein for people who might want to look it up?
Mullein. And
Excellent.
you'll be amazed. And I even went on YouTube, and there's videos from different people that really get into the herbs and stuff. And it's very fascinating.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank
and
you.
Viewers, you can mull on that till next time. Well, that brings us to the sad part.
The sad part.
Yeah. Weeding.
Weeding, oh my gosh.
What do we need to do weeds, to get rid of those weeds?
Well, with the rain and the heat, everything grows. And so weeds are part of urban farming or even rural farming. So weeds, you just need a little digger. It can be a small fork. It can be a screwdriver, anything to loosen them up, or a little hoe. And you just have to get on and do some micro farming and get down on your knees and pull them out.
Okay, well, you pulled another one out of the hat.
Another one out of that.
Yes, and here's my hat right here. Okay. So we hope you enjoy this furrow. And until next time, this is Nick and Gale.
Okay.
Green thumbs.
Green thumbs. There it is.
Bye-bye.
Bye.